Madison Convention.
Sorry.
Interesting. Who was the president of the I'm being recorded. What? All right, let's hit share screen again and we should be good. So Deb is trying to recruit. Ironman is looking to expand to have regional qualifier races for Hawaii. And a gentleman from Canada, company called NA Sports, Graham Fraser, comes into town. Again, it's January, lake is frozen, and they're standing on top of Monona Terrace, and Graham and Deb are there looking out at this, and Graham's like, I can see this, even though the lake's frozen. One of the interesting aspects, as George pointed out, this race is in a downtown environment, and not many of our races are in a downtown environment. But the other really unique thing about Ironman Wisconsin is actually a lot of the activities happen inside the convention center due to the proximity of the water and where we can put all the bikes. So it is a unique race, and it really took a vision. Landing Ironman Wisconsin really helped Madison also recruit for other sporting type events, including the CrossFit Games that were recently here. So just a little bit about triathlons in general. Not all triathlons are the same. Many people probably will start out with a sprint triathlon or Olympic triathlon. Sprint triathlons can be done in 2 hours. The swims are around 400 meters, 15 to 18 mile bike, and then a 5K run. Real easy sprint triathlon for somebody who's new and wants to get involved into it. You don't have to quit your day job like when you train for a full Ironman. And then the other is the Olympic distance triathlon, which, yep, that's what they do in the Olympics. It's a little longer. Ironman isn't the only triathlon in town, though. Race day events, yeah, in the Madison area, there's what's called the Wisconsin Triathlon Series. So 7 different events there that are put on by race day events out in Fitchburg. And they also, there's a really large women's triathlon that occurs in Pleasant Prairie, which was just this past weekend. So a lot of activity that has grown out of Ironman over the years. The other thing is just recently Milwaukee hosted the USA National Championships. And another real popular race is the Door County Triathlon. They have a sprint, but also a half Ironman. And many people that train for Ironman Wisconsin use the Door County race as a training race to get prepared. So it all started back in 1978, back in Hawaii. The story goes that a group of people were trying to debate, who's the best athlete, whether it's a swimmer, biker, runner. And they basically put together this Ironman event by merging. There was an open water swim that they had in Hawaii that just happened to be 2.4 miles. And then there was a bike race around the island, which was 115 miles, which now they've made 112. And then the Honolulu Marathon. So Ironman was just created. The first one, 15 people did it. This gentleman actually lives in the Milwaukee area. I think he was law enforcement, Joe. I think he was a law enforcement officer in the Milwaukee area, retired now. But it was nothing like you see now. They weren't the fancy bikes and all the spandex. Yeah, he's wearing jean shorts. They didn't have aid stations like they ate at McDonald's. I'm sure a few of the people probably had beers and things. And, this is a fancy shirt that they had. And was it a couple years later? Oh yeah, 1982. So 4 years later, ABC Wild World of Sports picked up covering Ironman. And this iconic photo was of Julie Moss. She was in second place at the time and collapsed, was it 20 some yards from the finish, and literally crawled across, and they captured that. And so this picture, this event really helped create this iconic nature to Ironman. And what I really like about the race is we treat the last finisher almost better than the person that wins the race, you know, because finishing it is an accomplishment. Finishing it is an accomplishment. So then the Ironman triathlon, there are two different types. There's the full Ironman triathlon, which we have both here in Madison actually. And then there's the half Ironman triathlon. From that one race, it's grown around the world. In the video, I'll show quickly, I got a 3-minute video clip, will show how many races there are around the country. And here is about a 3-minute video. The first part of this video is just sort of Ironman general stuff, a lot of scenes from Hawaii. The second part of the video, when it switches to swimmers going into the water, those are scenes from our race here. This is how I run. Have the best day of your life!
Ironman Wisconsin is on its way!
They're actually pretty loud too.
From up
The
here,
boat one
it
is
looks like
one
a
of
whole
the
bunch of little
physical
water
challenges.
boats. They keep coming and coming and coming.
Went along the whole race.
The first corner of the swim, tradition, you gotta move.
Move. Then you probably have a faster time. From 10:30 to midnight is some of the best times to be down at the finish.
I think I'm on schedule. It might be 5 minutes to spare, but it's going to be tight.
Yeah. Did I miss it? This is weird. Oh, no, this is the right slide. Wait, this is the right slide. So sorry, I was just off on slide. So our first one was in 2002, and with COVID, we took a year off. So I watched the first Ironman in 2002. A sailing instructor that I knew, she was a former Marine, competed and did quite well, and I watched that and I was somewhat inspired. And then 2003, I watched the race again with an eye on signing up. I had a swimming background and I sort of tested myself and I thought I could do the swim, but if Mike Dillis was here, he'd tell you a little more that the bike course is actually really challenging. And I think if I would have known how challenging the bike course was, I might not have signed up. So ignorance is bliss sometimes, When I did buy my bike, I actually was like, whoa, I need more gears. So I actually had some changes made on my bike to make it a little easier. for me, Ironman was a bit of a turning point for me. I did Ironman about 10 years after I graduated from college. And my first 10 years out of college, all I did was work. I really didn't play volleyball leagues. I didn't volunteer. I didn't join Rotary. I worked for a construction company, and I was really pretty much all I did was work. I had some bad habits, long lunches and things, and maybe didn't have the best, time management. Ironman, when I signed up for it, you'll see there's a lot of hours of training and things that you need to do. So it really helped me focus. And then I'll share a little more about, after Ironman, how it helped sort of change my life and got me involved in some new things. So in September of 2003, right after the race that year, I signed up along with Paula's daughter, Alyssa, who I had the opportunity to meet in a training class. So most people that train for Ironman join a team or get involved with a training group. And so Alyssa and I and her friend Leslie and a group of people all worked out together. And Paul, I also remember you once rescued us from Mount Horeb. So Alyssa and I were on a bike ride, and we both had separate mechanical breakdowns. Like, I think I broke a spoke and my wheel was wobbly, and then like 10 minutes later, she had some gear problems, and we limped our way to Mount Horeb and called you, and you rescued us. So that was great. Again, training for Ironman, besides getting in better physical shape, also helped me develop better time management skills and be more disciplined at work, and allowed me time to do some other things. When people train for a full Ironman, you can be doing 8, 12, 18, even 22 hours of training a week. And that's on the clock. That doesn't count doing your laundry, driving to and from workouts. It can be quite a large time commitment. The top blue box, I know it's a little hard to read, but what was it? Every morning, 4 or 5 mornings, 3 mornings a week, at least I would swim early in the morning before work. And then even after work, I'd still do swims. Most weeks, looks like I would have at least 3 bike rides. And some of those bike rides were close to 8 hours near the end as you sort of peak in your training thing. I dropped my wife off on a Saturday once at Meriter and didn't have time to shower when I picked her up after her 8-hour shift. Because she's like, "Were we biking this whole time?" And I'm like, "Almost." I was almost biking the whole time. So also, I suppose when I signed up, a little bit like ignorance is bliss, I had never biked more than 25 miles nor ran a 5K. So a lot of people that do sign up for Ironman aren't necessarily proficient in all the areas. And you'll come to learn here, my area that I work on the race is a swim. My current role with Ironman, I'm a contract employee, and I contract for a certain number of races, including Ironman Wisconsin every year. And I'm the swim course coordinator. And people do sign up for Ironman not really knowing how to swim. Most do try, train, seek out coaching, but every race there's usually a handful of people that I should have trained more, or that we pull out of the race early on. So here's just so I spent the whole year training for Ironman, and and I was just an average athlete. I think it took like 13.5 hours to do the race. The pros can finish the race in about 8 hours, and you have 17 hours to complete the race. Also, Ironman has what are called cutoffs. So if you don't complete the swim in 2 hours and 20 minutes, or you don't complete certain portions of the bike, you do not get to move on with the rest of the event. And those cutoffs are out of respect for our volunteers' time, and also our law enforcement officers that are working different intersections. That we can't let the race go on forever. And so we do have cutoffs throughout the race to keep things connected. So I was blown away by the volunteer support at Ironman Wisconsin. And again, we're talking about this, what do you do after Ironman? I mean, I could have sat on the couch and drank beer, with my free time. Thank you. But I decided first I wanted to volunteer for Ironman. I wanted to volunteer at the swim. And actually at a cocktail party with some of my training partners, I told a friend I want to volunteer for the swim, and Like, well, that woman over there, Barb McCarthy was her name, was in charge of swim volunteers. I go talk to Barb, and next thing you know, she makes me her assistant. By the way, Barb did my volunteer captain role for 5 years, and Ironman, when Barb retired, they replaced her with 5 guys. Pretty much par for the course, right? So, I volunteered right away after Ironman, and but the other thing, luckily, my Rotary sponsor approached me, and I think if it would have happened a couple years earlier, I'd have been like, oh my God, I could never do this. I don't have the time. But because of those, the discipline and skill that I learned at work, not taking the long lunches, being more focused, I was more open, and I joined Rotary also in 2005. Since 2007, I've been a volunteer captain. So the way I say it is, I get paid for 1 week out of the year for Ironman Wisconsin, but I am a volunteer 51 weeks out of the year. So all the stuff I do for that. Oh, well, let's just do these pictures here. Let's see back. A lot of different areas to volunteer throughout the day. Obviously, not during your beer stand on Saturday. So you'll hear we have 2 different races, both Saturday and Sunday this year. One interesting one is the wetsuit peelers. They used to be called strippers, but apparently we're supposed to use the term peelers, more correct. And there was a funny story. Apparently somebody didn't have a suit on once when that happened. But aid stations, people of all ages can volunteer. So since 2010, I never imagined working for Ironman, but the swim course coordinator approached me and said, hey, we had a race in Racine too, and could you come work for us? In my role as a swim course coordinator at Wisconsin and other races that I work, I basically have responsibility for everything out on the water, all the volunteers, setting the course, swim safety, working with our agency partners and volunteers. So, anything else? Oh, and I work full time, but I sneak in 3 to 5 races a year. So luckily, my company I work for is supportive of that. So this year, we have 2 races. Before, we used to have the half in June and the full in the September date. But last year, because of COVID, we did both on the same day. And that was a little dicey on the bike. There was some merging challenges and things. So we've done this in some other cities in the country where we've done 2 different days of racing. And so it definitely, more volunteers are needed, more logistics, but there is some economies, by having everyone together at one time. So here at Ironman Wisconsin, the swim takes place out in front of Monona Terrace, and it's just beautiful when you're in the water waiting to start the race to look up. Huge fans all over on top of the building and along shore. You get to watch. Swim is my area, but we all those buoys and everything are put out by GPS and precisely located. There's a corporate pride. We'll spend a whole half day just trying to make things look straight for everyone. Recently, we actually have in the water timing arch. So the timing box sits on a stand-up paddleboard, and there's a wire across. And so we have the capability of timing people, which is good for accountability because people do 2 loops and they don't get out. We don't show. So then the bike.
Wait, you said they do 2 loops by accident?
No, for accountability.
Oh.
Yeah, for accountability. Just to make sure they do 2. So on Saturday, they'll just do 1 loop, and on Sunday, they'll do 2 loops.
Got it, okay.
So that's where the timing arch comes into play. Yeah, Joe.
Did the swim used to go over?
No. The half, yes, was at Olin. Olin. Yeah. We're the beer garden. We for a couple of years we did the swim for the half out of Olin. Yeah, Paul.
How many people do you have monitoring for swimmers in distress?
Got that one for you. I got a slide that'll talk about that.
So can you go,
Oh,
so
sure.
a full is two full loops.
Two full loops.
Yeah.
And the
2.4
course,
miles.
the course is about 800 by 800.
Only your full.
Yeah.
I can barely see, my pool's 36 feet.
The fastest swimmers do it in about 50 minutes, and you have 2 hours and 20 minutes to complete.
50.
50 minutes. Yeah, 50 minutes.
Okay.
The bike course is on Saturday. The bike course is a little different than normal. It's going south and sort of staying south and not going out to Verona. Race management, Ryan Richards, who's been the race director for 20 years, realized we can't, go through Verona 2 days in a row. They'll revolt. So this is the full Ironman course that takes you out. Here's Verona, and they do 2 loops of the ride out there. The bike is a really what's called technical race or challenging, a lot of rolling hills. It's actually a really fun course. I really do like it.
Where does that go?
It goes, they come south, what's that called? Wayland Road. And then they come through Verona, and they go all the way out to Mount Horeb and all the way up to Cross Plains. So you sort of do that Verona, Mount Horeb, Cross Plains loop twice. And it's a 45 mile loop. Yep. Yeah.
We need a lot of people signing up after this.
Then the run. Also realize that we can't interrupt the beer garden, so they are not running the runners, or maybe it's bad, they could have been customers. The run on Saturday does not go by Camp Randall at all or through campus because of football. So they're going to do the traditional run around Lake Monona, and then for the full, it's the run you're used to through campus. It's really neat. There's so many people cheering you on and so many volunteers. I definitely like the urban run. And then you do have to do a little bit of Observatory Hill twice. And that is Observatory Hill. Some of the pros even will walk Observatory Hill.
This is the double loop, right?
The run is a double loop, yeah. And the way the course is designed now with the Park Street overpass, it's sort of nice because Johnson and Gorham, you can still flow through on traffic, and Park Street, you can still go through. So by utilizing some of the bike paths and overpasses, the run it doesn't screw up Madison too bad, right?
Park Street was a nightmare early on until now they have that bike path. It goes over by that, whatever you call it. And it's just got one of the major bottlenecks just out of the way.
So again, iconic finish. This is the winner from a couple of years ago. And my wife and I had the privilege of hosting them. So Ironman has a sort of like Rotary Youth Exchange. Ironman has a Ironman Pro Exchange or whatever. So Emilio stayed at our house, and my wife is the homestay captain, which isn't exactly active this year, but we're still hosting pros for that. And then again, at the end of the evening, just want to watch. What time should I be done by?
1:15.
Oh,
15 minutes.
oh, I have 15 minutes. Oh, okay, good. Economic impact. Yeah. Thank you. I will. Economic impact. So Ironman is a partnership between the Ironman Group and Destination Madison, our local convention and visitors bureau. Estimated impact to the community, 2.4 million from all the people coming in. I think what that doesn't address though is there's a lot of people actually making a living, triathlon coaches, the different bike stores and everything. I mean, a lot of interest and spin-off from the race. The other thing is the Ironman Foundation donates about $50,000 to the local community. A lot of that goes towards youth sports initiatives. So a few other trivia items. Depending on how hot it is, we use approximately 18,000 pounds of ice for the race. Wow. Like 6,000 sub sandwiches, 2,000 pizzas, and countless zip ties. By the way, zip ties hold everything together at Ironman. Event volunteer needs. So we actually need more volunteers than participants. There, these are all approximate numbers, but for the full Ironman, we'll probably race between 2,200 and 2,400 this year. And for the half Ironman, about 17 or 1,800. But we actually need more volunteer positions than participants. Our volunteers are organized by a group of volunteer captains. There's 60 of us. I still hold that position. So like every aid station will have a captain organizing that. And then Ironman flies in approximately 75 staff that get lodged and put up for approximately a week. That's everything from timing to athlete services to merchandise. It's really interesting. For me, leaving my professional engineering world doing heating and air conditioning. And if you're not comfortable in this room, talk to my boss. I didn't do this project, but my company did work on it. So no, it's a great building. To go and get off work and go work with the team, a diverse team of people. You know, we have kids just out of high school working to retired police officers on the crew, and from people from all around the country, all working together to put on an event. So I really enjoy that part of it. I will tell you, it is really hard work in my staff role. Paul will talk a little bit more about the numbers now for the swim specifically. Let's see here. Oh, here's some quick photos of our volunteers out on the water. So we have kayakers, stand-up paddle boards, motorboats, jet skis, and lifeguards out
But
there.
they don't wear life preservers, right?
No,
Okay.
no. You will see some people. Yeah. The wetsuits do help with buoyancy a little bit. Wetsuit's a bit of a crutch that does help people through the swim. Also, when you see people training, a new phenomenon is they'll tow these little optic orange or yellow floats behind them. Then, you know, if you need to rest, you can sort of hold on to them and get some little added buoyancy. Makes you more visible to any boats out there. And then also some of them have a place to hide your keys in a little waterproof.
In the race.
No. It's training.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just training. Yeah, just training. But I was saying when they were training. So our swim safety team, we are blessed here in Madison with a huge turnout. Typically for the full Ironman, we'll get 110 to 120 kayak owners come out. And our minimums, you know, I'd like to see at least 40 kayaks. And sometimes when we travel, we go to places where we barely have that. But Madison really is a huge kayaking group. Rutabaga has helped support us and gives us time at Pinocopia. So yeah, stand-up paddle boards, power boats we recruit, and Madison Fire usually sends 2 boats. The sheriff's out there. Middleton Fire, the county opens the locks early for us at 5:30 a.m. So some people that own boats on Mendota can lock over, including Middleton Fire, to help out. So in total, Paula, sometimes we'll have 220 people focused on swim safety for the race. You might, how do we organize that? Well, we have a number of volunteer captains, lifeguard, kayak, motorboat, stand-up, but we also have kayak area leaders. So when you put together a large volunteer event, you know, you want to make sure people are orientated, trained, but also organized so they feel like their time is valuable. And you'll see here next slide or so that we really work hard on that. All of our kayaks and SUPs are given an orange traffic safety flag. So those volunteers aren't expected to be lifeguards. They're our eyes and ears out in the water. When they wave that flag, you can see it for hundreds of meters. And then a boat will bring a lifeguard or one of our staff boats or one of the agency boats will come and help. So our kayak volunteers don't need to be lifeguards. They just need to be diligent and comfortable in their boats. And a lot of times people just need a bow to rest on or a little bit of coaching. Sometimes people, oh, here's one of our lifeguards. How do you like him? How do you like him? My wife caught that photo, and yes, I photoshopped the hat and the rescue thing. I did take this picture and I sent it to the lifeguard captain. Which guard is this? They're really attentive. They're doing a good job. That was just this past year. Our commitment to safety at Ironman. So we have a set of volunteer training slides, and the ones that I highlighted with the little Wisconsin biome are initiatives that started here that now percolated into all the other Ironman races. One of our kayak captains felt strongly that the buoys should be numbered. 15 years ago, we never did that. Now we do. And now with the numbered buoys, someone on the radio can say there's a problem at yellow 2, and you know exactly where that is. We do virtual meetings with the volunteers, huddles, but then I'll show you a clip of this. We also, Ironman invested the year before COVID in a swim safety video. And I'll just play part of that.
In 2017, I was part of a water rescue. We hope that this video will show you what's needed so that you can be prepared for any event that happens out on the water.
Today, what we want to do is go through what you can expect as a volunteer when you come out for one of these races and how you can keep our athletes safe.
How and when to get help if needed. Be sure to know what you need to provide and what will be provided for you race morning.
How you doing? I need you to grab the front of my boat. You can't breathe, you can't breathe. So what you're going to do at that point is you're going to raise your flag and you're going to wave it. And then you're also going to have your safety whistle, and you're going to start blowing that safety whistle. And keep waving that flag until you get help.
This is a little dramatic, but we felt like we wanted to show it here so the swimmers are unresponsive. Just to show how the team works together.
Oh my gosh. Oh, are you all right? Are you okay? Help! 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 Somebody! Somebody help! Help!
This is
unconscious. Swimmers. Okay, I need the rest of you to swim to this backside of my boat here.
Again, here's where, the one side was coming in.
Swimmers, I need you to swim over to this side of my boat. Swimmers, move it, unball.
I'm over dramatized.
Got it? Out of the way, out of the way.
Video we share with all of our volunteers now, along with the training slides, to make sure they understand their role. Go.
In a typical race, how many health or safety incidents would you have? And I would think, well,
No. I love the question. I love the question. One year at Ironman Wisconsin, we had as low as six people that we assisted. And a lot of people can be just tired, not prepared. Major medicals are rare. Sometimes somebody will get kicked. If I had more than two people get kicked or two people having serious breathing problems, that's probably a lot. The swim, occasionally somebody does have a cardiac arrest, and in Madison over the 20 years we've had 2 deaths in the swim here. But the vast majority of things that we take care of are people just needing minor assistance. They breathing problems that can be easily treated. Some people put on wetsuits for the first time and aren't comfortable swimming in them, and we help them. On the high end, though, if the waves pop up to 1.5 feet or 2, I've had races, not here at Wisconsin, where we help 130 out of 1,800 people. And that's mainly related to the waves and people not being comfortable swimming in them. Yep.
Have you had biking accidents?
There definitely are biking accidents. And one of the videos showed that mass start with all the people lined up. We actually don't do that anymore. One reason we don't do the mass start anymore was to lower swimmer anxieties. But another big reason for it was to stretch out to reduce bike congestion. Now we put 4 people in every 5 seconds over the course of 45 minutes or an hour. And so that helps spread things out. But yeah, the bike, I can think of one turn. There's definitely somebody was talking about slow down, you know, there's places on the course where people do need to slow down because of tight turns.
Cautionary tale. 2003, my partner in finance didn't know how to swim. So we spent a year teaching him how to swim because he was induced to enter the 03 Ironman by our one of our best friends who we introduced to his wife. So as a reward, he decided Jay should do the Ironman with him. Well, Jay was a type 8 diabetic, which right off the bat is a cautionary thing to worry about. And in any event, he did the swim okay, dog paddling basically, got through the swim. They didn't have all these regulations back then about how long it would take. And then he got on his bike. 10 miles into the bike ride, he went to get his salt tablets, which were crucial for him. Dropped them. Instead of stopping, picking them up, he soldiered on. Made it through the bike, then went into the run. He came in at 5 minutes to 12, finished the race 5 minutes to 12, basically crawling in. Spent the next 3 days in the hospital.
Because it didn't get enough electrolytes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the point is, if you're going to do this, make sure that you are totally prepared with whatever it is you need.
Nutrition is an important part. You know, I had a routine in my mind, you know, every aid station, I need to be drinking a Gatorade or a water. I did have some of those salt tablets. I remember feeling, it was a little warmer in 2004 than forecasted. And I'm like, ooh, I should up my beverage intake. But yeah, there was a story in Boulder, Colorado a few years ago. A similar thing happened to an athlete where, you know, just thought like 4 waters, and that was not the right thing. The other can be true, the opposite.
1 more minute.
Oh, 1 more minute. Okay. Jackie.
Well, I was just gonna say that 2003, my daughter-in-law went in and the temperatures were 96 or 98 degrees that day. They were absolutely terrible. I don't think I've ever been so terrified in my life for that because, and I think that a lot of the bikers, the professional bikers dropped out that day. They just said this is not worth it.
Too much, right.
We're not gonna make any records for it.
Yeah.
So it was unreal. So hopefully, our son is doing it this year, so hopefully the weather is going to be much more mild and better. So it'll be his second time.
Cool. Hope so. Yeah.
Age bracket, oldest competitor, youngest competitor, average.
Average, I think I saw that somewhere, was 43. The average age was 43. But there are people in their upper 70s, and I wouldn't be surprised if we had somebody 80, and then you have to be 18 to do it. I just want to wrap up with this slide. You know, my volunteer experiences have really helped make me a more well-rounded person. For instance, my experience with Ironman, I got to learn what it was like to speak in front of 3,000 some people, you know, the whole bottom of the terrace. Also, you know, volunteer management, which then helped me when I was president of Downtown Rotary in 2018-19, and vice versa. It's all worked together. My latest challenge, which I hope you'll join me on, is I'm working with Heather Dwyer. I'm the incoming I'm the vice chair of our Tricon. So if you don't know, all 3 districts are back together doing a joint district conference. And so for the next 2 years, I'll be the vice chair. And then for 2 years, I'll be the chair of the our combined conference. It is in La Crosse and then Green Bay the next 2 years. We hope to bring it to Madison, maybe during one of the 2 years that I'm leading it, but no guarantees. You know, the Dells is popular too for a lot of reasons. So with that, thank you.
Jason, thank you for wearing black shirt and tan pants today.
Oh yeah,
I've had multiple people point this out.
I'll get you an Ironman.
Perfect. So on behalf of all of our speakers, we do make a contribution to the Rotary's International and Polio Plus Fund as well. So we'll be doing that. Next week is Aaron West talking about the brat stand, where the funds go, what happens at it. I know most of us in this room have done it before, but kind of a good refresh. I know prices are going up this year, George. George is a big avid supporter of that. Yeah, so we're not using quarters. All right, thank you for being present. And in Dan's words, remember service above self. Have a great week. Really good. We could have gone on probably another half hour.
I was a high school swimmer. I thought that